Hello, once again, everyone, to another Tuesday episode of the Vendetta Sports Media Daily Show. You can see me and Matt Hanfin. We're ready for the NBA play-in. Going to be two very good games tonight, followed by two pretty good games tomorrow night as well. But Matt, how are you doing, my man?
Do I hate the play-in only because my team's playing in it? Yes. But since postseason's basketball here, man, I am so unbelievably ready. Let's do this. This season has stunk. My team has been mediocre for most of the season, but that doesn't change how I feel when it comes to postseason basketball, especially when the Miami Heat are in it, man. Let's go. Let's do this. It's 8 a.m. where I'm at. I'm on the West Coast. Get me to 4:30 tonight or 7:30 p.m. Eastern, whatever you want to say. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. I hardly slept last night, in part because I watched a movie late at night, but also because of this goddamn play-in, man. I'm ready to go. Let's go. It's not even the actual playoffs, and I'm ready to run through a wall, man. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready too. There is really, you hear it in all the Christmas songs, but I'll apply it to the NBA too. This is the best time of the year to be a basketball fan. Play-in, playoffs, whatever you want to call it, is just this is where the stars really start shining. And obviously, like you said, the Miami Heat have playoff performers come
Yep.
out of their
Oh,
ears.
yeah. Especially this guy right here.
Yep.
This guy right here has done it when it's mattered most.
Yeah, and I don't think Trae Young and the Hawks know what's we saw it last year in the first round. I personally think it's going to be pretty much a repeat of that tonight.
I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Is this game probably gonna piss me off? Like this team has for at least a fair majority of the season, probably in some form or fashion. At some point, whether it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter, it's probably going to piss me off at some point. But yeah, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. I do think Miami will win, but like, dude, they're allergic to playing like blowout games. Like they're not going to blow the Hawks out. They've played, I think, 54 clutch games this year, which is like, I think 3 or 4 more than like any other team in the league. Like they just won't play close games, and so that's going to be certainly nerve-wracking, and I don't see that. I honestly don't see that changing tonight, whether it's one way or the other. But I'm ready for this. I hate the play-in because my team is playing in it. It's usually fun when it's like you're watching other fan bases, especially like last year for me. It was like I don't know, it was like Cavs Hawks or something like that for like
That was a great.
like the second game, and it was just like, man, this is so fun not watching my team have to play in this. Well, guess what? Now it's definitely that time, and it's like the season stunk to the point where we're playing a one game. It's like we're like for years when the Yankees were in the wild card game, it was just like, dude, this was just like the most nerve-wracking, dumb, stupid thing ever. And it's so much like better when it's just other teams that are playing in that game. That's how I'm feeling right now. It's like it's a little different because Miami can still lose and play on Friday, but then they would be playing either Toronto or Chicago, who they haven't played well against at all this season, and the winner of that would face the Bucks, which isn't fun. And that's on 2 days rest. I mean, if Miami wins tonight, they'll play Boston on Saturday on like 4 days rest, and so there's definitely a rest advantage to winning this game and a preparation that lends itself better. But like, I'm just ready to go. What as someone who has a playoff team, because your team's superior, at least right now, what are you most excited for, at least over these next few days, just like an outsider's perspective when it comes to these playing games? Just I want to pick your brain for a second, because I haven't stopped thinking about this Heat Hawks game for like the last like 3 or 4 days. I'm just ready for it. Just get me to 4:30 or 7:30 Eastern, whatever it is. Just get me to that time. I don't want to think about or do anything for the rest of the day. Just give me to that time. But like, what are your thoughts as someone who's on the outside looking at it?
I mean, to me, the first thing I really think about is the quality of these teams. Like, especially obviously Miami and Atlanta, both teams. I mean, obviously Atlanta made their way through the play-in last year, but Miami's was the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference last year. So like these are, obviously you said it's been a consistently inconsistent season for the Miami Heat, but they're still a damn good basketball team, especially this time of year is where Jimmy Butler makes his money, Bam Adebayo, and all these other guys. Like they are, they have the championship mindset in Miami, and I think it definitely lends itself very well to the play-in format. Obviously, you think about Boston versus Milwaukee, obviously that's one of the biggest consequences. And also, like you see my Austin Reeves jersey, I'm thinking about the Lakers too. They went out and had a very good trade deadline. Obviously, they became one of the most improved teams in the league based on those moves they made, getting Russell Westbrook out, bringing in D'Angelo Russell, and then like it just makes me think about these teams have invested so much along this course of the season. Whether you want to analyze it in terms of draft picks and other assets, or just in terms of the games played, like the age. Like both the Lakers and the Heat are very old teams. Like they're not, this is not a team like we saw like Damian Lillard. He was upset that he doesn't want to keep kicking the can down the road in Portland. These are teams that do not want to wait until tomorrow. They are, they're ready to make some noise today. And, unfortunately that for both of the Lakers and the Heat, who have pretty high aspirations, all things considered, they don't want to say that their season is on the line tonight. Obviously for both teams it's not, because as you alluded to, they will have another chance if they lose. But still, just just always an uncomfortable feeling, even as an outsider. I kind of get like secondhand like stress and secondhand like cringe, just like when these games come around. Especially you said that Cleveland Atlanta game. I was rooting for the Cavs. I'm ever since LeBron left, I've been always interested in seeing what obviously we saw this year what they're doing nowadays without him. But that rebuild, and there's a lot that goes into it, and obviously we can move in a lot of directions with the Timberwolves. Obviously there is some pretty big Minnesota Timberwolves news, and Chicago and Toronto, obviously that's another interesting matchup. And then who is it? New Orleans and the Thunder.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, so that's another great game. It kind of just shows the spectrum of teams. Like you have the Lakers, you have the Heat, pretty old rosters, looking to make some noise sooner rather than later. And then you have teams like New Orleans and Oklahoma City, who have been kind of rebuilding the past few years, kind of just looking who's a part of our core. And now they're going to be probably some of the best teams in the league over the next 5 or 10 years with the young talent they have. And again, I also can't wait. I'm incredibly excited. I think the NBA's had some questionable decisions in recent years about just about anything you want to say, but I think the play-in is something that so far they've gotten right. And I think it really, obviously, in terms of teams like the Dallas Mavericks, the NBA does not want teams tanking, and we could have a whole different discussion about that. Yeah. But going to be great basketball regardless. I think especially on the tomorrow's slate with the Raptors and Bulls and the Thunder and Pelicans, because those teams will have their season on the line. But again, 4 really good games, and I can't wait to see the next round, who those matchups are. And again, I'll be rooting for the Heat. Obviously, I'll be rooting for the Lakers too, but I can't wait for it.
Well, we appreciate you. If Miami loses, you might have to root for either Chicago or Toronto to shift the allegiance. I'm just kidding. But like, how good did the Lakers kind of back themselves into this situation, just from like a matchup perspective? Incidentally, of course, because it's like Minnesota's without Gobert tonight.
Without McDaniels, probably.
Well, yeah, McDaniels is hurt because he broke his hand.
Yeah.
Now Reed's out for the season. Like, this team is just all of a sudden has looked depleted. I mean, I know we can make jokes or whatever, how there was like some Ewing theory with without Gobert in the lineup comparatively to when it's just Cat and Towns. Because I mean, they were down like 12 or something like that. They were down like double digits when that whole kind of kerfuffle, whatever you want to call it, happened, and they won by 5. And that was like Anthony Davis went nuts in the second half. He was making defensive plays at the rim. He had a few big shots late in the game. Like, he was really good. I mean, Cat when he was I know he was in foul trouble for a little bit, I believe, but like he came back in, started hitting he had some important shots too in that game. But like, just in general, like, this team is like depleted in the front court, and I just don't know how that's going to hold up against like an Anthony Davis or even like LeBron when he's getting ahead of steam downhill. I mean, Jaden McDaniels is one of their best, if not their best defenders, especially on the perimeter, just because of his length and what he can do with his foot speed and everything. And yeah, he is a little bit of an inconsistent offensive player, but when you don't have a player like him to check LeBron, I mean, they still have Kyle Anderson, who's also a really good defender. And I don't think he's not suspended tonight, is he?
No, I don't think the team's, I don't think he did. It's all relative.
Right, but like I was just like he's probably the person who's going to check LeBron. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but like even when you don't have a player like McDaniels or even like a Gobert, just the big bodies, like you need the big bodies when you're going up against an Anthony Davis or a LeBron James and
absolutely.
the Wolves. Excuse me. I just don't think they have that, and so that like is a little unfortunate. But if they win tonight, they get a Memphis team who's going to be without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is always in foul trouble, it feels like. So it's like they kind of back themselves into a relatively good situation just by accident. And that's kind of how the season, at least the second half of the season's gone for them since the trade. I mean, they have the second best record in the league since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Have a top 5 defense, even though they've had a pretty mediocre offense. Or not a mediocre offense. I mean, better to their standards relative to what was happening at the beginning of the year with the shooting and everything. But just in the middle of the pack offense, I mean, it's not always the most explosive. I mean, when you have, Anthony Davis and LeBron James can always turn up, especially LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
In a playoff situation, like that's one thing the Lakers have going for him is he can still put up these gaudy numbers and still feels like he's just coasting through games. But the Lakers defense has been like not shockingly, but like sneaky, really good over this stretch. And that's kind of what has propelled them to where they're at right now.
Yeah.
And so they're sitting in a good spot. Just from tomorrow's games, like how low scoring is Chicago-Toronto going to be?
I was in my brain, my initial guess is that I just feel like it's going to be like a 95-87 win for Toronto.
Dude, it might. I like two very good defenses. I'm looking at it right now. Two top 5 defenses since the All-Star break, and the offenses, at least just throughout this entire year, have just kind of slugged their way along. I mean, of course, we get the cool like DeRozan going up against his former team in a playoff game, like kind of storyline. But like just in general, I'm looking at it right here. Chicago was first in defense post All-Star break. They allowed 110.1 points per 100 possessions. Toronto's 5th, or tied for 4th, really, with the Lakers. And then offenses, Chicago was 15th. That's shockingly high. And then Toronto was 18th. So I guess not as bad as I thought, at least post All-Star break. That's a smaller sample, of course. But just in general, like this is going to be a slugfest. And I don't think DeRozan's played that. Like he's probably like the X factor for Chicago in this game because I don't think just from what I remember, at least in the first couple of matches of the season, he didn't play well at all. And then now Toronto has who they've played a lot better with is Jakob Poeltl, just a big body, good screener. He can free up Scotty. He can free up Pascal. He can free up Van Vliet. Like he's just a big body. And so he's significantly improved their defense, at least since they've acquired him. The offense is a little sputtered a little bit, but still, like that's going to be just a war. That's going to be just like Hunger Games bad. I mean, it might be. I mean, I think it's going to crack triple digits just because of how today's NBA has gone. But like that's a fun game. And then I don't really know what to think about Oklahoma City and New Orleans. If I'm being completely honest, like I think New Orleans has won like 9 of their last 12 or something like that. Like they've been playing very well, like very good basketball, especially since Brandon Ingram's came back and kind of reacclimated himself in that rotation. But like one thing I've learned figuratively and literally throughout this entire year is never bet against Oklahoma City. And I mean, you've heard me on here before. I've been very high on Oklahoma City all year. Again, I just love. I mean, Shea's had a breakout season. He's going to be an All-NBA player. Jalen Williams is next man up. I was high on him before the draft. I'm way higher on him now. And then, of course, Josh Giddey. And like Oklahoma City doesn't have a center, and they still figured out a way to win 37, 38 games this season. So like I've just learned never to bet against Oklahoma City, no matter where they're at. They're always gonna scrap. They're always gonna claw. They're always gonna fight. And so I mean, they've been like one of the most enjoyable feel-good stories throughout this entire season. So I really don't know like what direction I want to go in, just in terms of like predicting that game. It can go several ways, but I still think Oklahoma City is, again, I think it's going to be a close game because again, Oklahoma City, you never say the word die.
They just hang around. They'll always be hanging around.
Yeah, is that like from like the Goonies or something? Like never.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like
No, it's
that's
just
pretty much Oklahoma City. Like never say die. Like this team, like Mark Dagnall is going to have those guys ready and prepared, and they're going to scrap and claw their way to at least a competitive loss if they lose.
Yeah.
At least I think. I mean, Ingram's been great. I wish we were able to see like Zion in this game.
That's what I was gonna say.
But it sucks. But
I mean, you got to keep them bubble wrapped in case they do, make it out of the play-in and stuff. But I was just thinking about it too with the Thunder. I mean, once Chet Holmgren comes back, in the words of Drake, it could be scary hours over in Oklahoma City, and they still have an absolute boatload of first-round picks.
And they'll have possibly a lottery pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just outrageous. Like at the very beginning of this, I guess you could call it the process. When Russell Westbrook and Paul George were shipped out of town, I was like, I was a little skeptical. I was a little on the fence, but you just have so many draft picks. You're bound to hit on a couple and get some guys.
And they've hit on everyone.
Now they have guys.
They've hit on everyone.
Yeah.
Or at least it feels like Shea, Lou Dort, who they got. They like, I think he was either undrafted or like.
Yeah, I think he was undrafted or low.
Yeah, like who else? I mean, Jalen Williams.
Both the Jalen Williamses. Like
both the Jalen Williams. Good. I mean, I'm leaving. I'm giddy.
Pokusevski, yeah.
Yeah, Poku is just like a wild experience.
Yeah, it's just a roller coaster watching him play basketball.
You don't know what you're getting, but you also know you're just getting like an incredibly fun 7-footer who's incredibly skinny and can handle the ball. But no, this Oklahoma City team, like they can parlay so many of their draft picks too in the future. Like if some big star becomes available, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Oklahoma City and play with Shea. Like they can go
destination now.
Like, yeah, but and like even then, like even if they don't trade these picks, they still have a treasure trove of them, so they could just keep picking away.
Guys on the rookie deals, no salary issues there.
Yeah, I mean, of course, with the new CBA, how they're like restricting teams from using their like tax pyramid level or whatever, and trading draft picks down the line if you exceed a certain limit, like that's gonna suck. But right now they're sitting pretty, so I'm not worried about that down the road. Don't worry about that.
Cross that bridge when you get to it.
Right.
I am happy for the Thunder. I've been waiting to see when they finally put it together, and it's great, And it's, like you just said, Shea's breakout year. I mean, I was worried that if it was another straight lottery year, how much more can he take? But now that things are finally starting to come together in OKC, I think he's definitely going to want to stay there, which I think is a good thing.
One of the hardest leaps in sports, it feels like, is like not even like role player to good player. It's from like star player to like not superstar, but like good to great almost.
Yeah.
And Shea's been really, really good over these. Like, I don't even want, like, it's not intended to be disrespectful, but like saying it's a breakout year for him just feels a little disrespectful just because of like how productive he's been over the last several years. But like he's averaging 35 and 6. Like he rose from like,
here it is,
young star to like I've seen most improved player like discussion with them, and to an extent it makes sense. I mean, this is his first year, as we see on the screen, his first year making the All-Star team. He went from averaging 25, 5 and 6 to nearly 32 points a game. On improved efficiency, he's improved in practically all areas of the floor since then. So it's like it almost feels disrespectful to say this is a breakout year, but he's like truly like if he was 80% out of his shell last year, he's like 110% out of his shell this year. Like
that's a very good comparison.
Like that's just kind of like where he's at. Like it's so hard to go from like really good to like being considered great, and like Shea's a probably generational like slasher. Like the dude, even with how skinny he looks, he could still find a way to get to his spots.
He just snakes through the lane. Like, I mean,
like he's incredibly efficient. He has a very array, like he has a wide array of like moves to get to his spots too, which I respect. And the thing that like kind of goes unnoticed is one, his playmaking, and two, his defense. He's a really, really good defender, and I think that doesn't. I don't think that gets talked about enough, at least for him, because of this kind of leap he's taken offensively, especially in the scoring department and his efficiency. But like, he's a really good defender. He's a really good
I
defender.
mean, he's just putting it all together, and it's such a great thing. And my first takeaway is Clippers fans, are we sure you guys would still rather want Kawhi Leonard and Paul George over this guy right now?
I think at the time, I mean, what was it like? Paul George and like, I want to say there was like at least a few first round picks in there, right?
Yeah. Oh
Or,
yeah.
no, it was Shea, a few
And
first round picks.
Gallinari and a bunch of other
Yeah, like
picks.
in a vacuum, I think if you say to yourself that you get Kawhi Leonard out of that deal, you would do it 10 times out of 10. But like, I guess if we're looking at it like in hindsight,
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be
hindsight
as
is
fair.
2020.
Yeah, it might not be like as clear cut, but if you say to yourself that like you get Kawhi Leonard by trading Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who was like especially good towards the end of his rookie season, like if you get Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, I still think Clipper fans like at the time would do that at least nine times out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 times.
I would
Because
agree.
like Kawhi was coming off
Finals
winning the
MVP.
NBA finals. Yeah. Like at that, I mean, the Clippers also had like a very good season too. They finally, I think they backed their way into the playoffs, something like that.
Yeah, and they took the Warriors to 6 games with a fully loaded squad.
So I still think that they would do that, but like I guess in hindsight, it hasn't necessarily worked out to their advantage.
I agree. I would say in 2019, you get those two guys. I think most, regardless of Clippers, most basketball fans probably assume that there'd be at least one championship out of that duo. And
right.
Obviously, there was a global pandemic and other things that kind of kept that from happening. But again, shout out Shea. He's amazing. I am incredibly happy for the guy. And I mean, this may not be a hot take, but I think I'd rather have him over Donovan Mitchell right now, just at his size.
Whoa. Okay.
I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but he is just.
I mean, I can see the case for both.
I have fully jumped onto the Shea bandwagon. I mean, obviously, I'm a sucker for some good Instagram captions, and he is always saying some insightful stuff with his cool outfits. But again, shout out Shea. I will be rooting for the Thunder, even though the Pelicans are also a pretty good feel-good story, But
they've had a little bit of a disappointing year just because of Zion.
Yes,
not being completely healthy. Like I remember at one point, like the middle of the season, they were like a top 3, top 4 seed. Like this team was really good, and they just completely fell off.
Yeah.
Especially after Ingram's injury. So that sucks a little bit. What are your thoughts on what happened with Dallas?
I mean,
I want to get your perspective.
Yes, I mean, I just don't know why they would do. I mean, look, whatever, there's 2 games left, so I don't think you can use the injury excuse anymore. I think it's a little too late in the season to be saying, "Oh, these guys are hurt." Like, look, I think it went from like a 96% chance to making the playoffs when you trade for Kyrie Irving to nothing. Now, obviously, like it's I can go on all day about Mark Cuban as a Knicks fan, like whatever, I think the whole Jalen Brunson thing, but regardless, it's just not a good look, especially for a team like the Mavericks. Yeah. You have Luka Doncic, who on a bad day is a top 7 player in the league. If you ask me, you have no excuse not to make the playoffs with Luka Doncic. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. And Kyrie Irving, obviously. But I mean, look, as a Knicks fan, it's great because maybe the league will finally decide to have a bit of a more stiff penalty and say, look, instead of just slapping a fine on you, we're going to remove your protections on your first round pick that the Knicks have this year. So they get an unprotected first round pick. That would be beautiful. But again, I'm a Knicks fan, so that, I like to take things a bit to the extreme when things like this happen. But again, I just don't think it's a good look for Dallas, especially when now reports are coming out that Luka may request a trade next year if things don't turn around. Like, you're not doing yourself any favors. And now it's going to be a very, very difficult offseason in Dallas now.
How do you go from like a top 5, maybe top 10 defense last year. You trade multiple first round picks and you completely crater and you're now not even in the playoffs or you're not even in the play-in.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Like
for
this team
starters,
made the Western Conference Finals last year and they're not even in the play-in game.
well, I mean, I can give you two names, Jalen Brunson and Dorian Finney-Smith. They both play basketball in New York City now, and I think, again, we were just talking about hindsight. Hindsight is 2020, and I think Mavericks fans are missing those two guys very, very much right now.
I mean, you could again, like when this trade happened, it wasn't a secret that this team was going to be worse defensively. But like what they go like 9-17 or something like that. Like I don't even remember what it was. It was bad. And that's kind of probably why they lost that weird Hawks game. I think the week before the season ended, like they just kept losing like bad games, like games that they probably should have won.
I think for me, yeah,
like the ones against Charlotte, like just completely inexcusable losses.
Inexcusable.
And yeah, and it's like, I mean, I didn't care much. Like it is certainly a bad look. I didn't care much about it that much because I didn't expect them to make the play in anyway. Because I mean, I think Oklahoma City had the tiebreaker.
Yep.
I'm looking at the standings right now.
Or you got them here.
Yeah, they got it 40-42, and then Dallas finished 38-44. And so Dallas was essentially 3 games back. At least this is like after the season, obviously. But like, it's just not like you're right on it when it's just not a great look when like 2 games before the season ended, the day of that second to fight, like the day of that penultimate game, or they just come out with the reports that like, yeah, we're sitting everyone. And so like they're pretty much telling you without really telling you that they're done with the season. And I think like I want to say it was like some like I don't know, it was like some special day or what, but there was something I think going on in Slovenia. And so like they wanted to watch at least Luka play like one course. I think that's why he played. I think I'm not sure. That's something I just saw on Twitter. Maybe I'm just completely off base with that, but like it was weird how he only played 1 quarter. And they're just no, we're cutting the quarter. It's just like, but you're sitting everyone else. Like what exactly? Like I don't really know. Again, maybe there's like a deeper reason behind that. Maybe not. I don't know. But it was just very weird, not good optics. But I do think there's like to an extent, like Dallas didn't think that they would
fall this fast.
Like I don't think they thought that they would beat New Orleans. I don't think they thought they would beat either the Lakers or the Wolves.
Yeah.
In a play-in setting, at least that I think those were at least the 3 teams. Maybe like I don't think they thought they would beat Golden State if they somehow made a play. Like I just don't. I think they were just like, we've seen how this second half of the season's gone. Like we're just going to completely like fold. And then of course with the pick.
It's got to be in the top 10.
Yeah, so it's like I think they're at 10 right now. They're either at 9 or 10. I think when I looked at Tankathon, just based on how the math works, they have like greater than 80% chance to get within the top 10. And so, like, even if they go, I think from 9 to 8, we can probably pull it up here in a second.
Yeah, I can.
But so I think that's also like that certainly plays a factor in it. Just so happens to be like we're like on the brink of it being like I think if the plan, I don't want to say it doesn't really have much to do with the plan, but if I think that like that pick was completely like unprotected going to the Knicks anyways, I think there would have been more of an incentive to at least try to make the playoffs because it's like it's the playoffs. Like you should always try. Like at least my theory is you should always try to make the playoffs. Here, go up to more. On the top right.
Oh, yeah.
And then they have the pick odds. And so based on how the math works, Dallas is like, they're like right at 10. Okay, so maybe not
5%, yeah.
66%. Plus the whatever odds you can jumble up for
the top 4.
And so they practically have
roughly an 80% chance, I guess.
Yeah, I guess a roughly an 80% chance, and then a 20-ish% chance, 21% chance that they
It goes to
that
New
they
York.
don't get that. Yeah, that they don't get that top 10 pick. And so like they were on the brink. And so like if you were going to commit to something, just fully commit to it, I guess. I guess maybe.
Don't decide with 2 games left that you want to tank. It's like
Right. That's right. I think the timing of it certainly like makes it look even worse. But you're right with that. But I guess they just saw a window and you're just like, we could just like fold these games or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to sympathize for Dallas. They shouldn't be sympathized for in that aspect, but just in general, like,
yeah,
I'm trying to rationalize, like, try to think what they were thinking, and it's still hard because it, like, again, when you have Luka Doncic, when you have Kyrie Irving, two very, I'd say, noted playoff performers.
yeah.
And again, like Dallas was in the Western Conference Finals last year. They traded away multiple first-round picks for Kyrie and for Christian Wood. And I thought they were going to be better heading into the season.
I thought they were going to be better too. I really like the Christian Wood move at the time.
Yeah. Like, I like the move for JaVale. I mean, I know they hardly used him. I know he's in his mid-30s, but, like, I like the move. I think I wrote something at the time about acquisitions I liked, and he was on there. I mean, again, Nevada bias, but I genuinely thought, like, especially since his last year in Phoenix, like, I thought he was going to be somewhat of an impactful rotation player for 10 to 15 minutes. Wasn't even, like, that big of a burden, and it was just a weird year for Dallas. I don't know where they go with this.
Yeah.
The Luka Doncic trade rumors are going to – I mean, it's already been spiked up already, but, like, we know that's going to be an entire talking point surrounding that team in the offseason. That's just how this league works, even if you like it or not. Like,
yeah. I mean,
soon, but who the heck knows, dude? Who the heck – I'm not going to try to predict, like, who asks out in the NBA because that's just how it works. When a player's upset –
yeah.
When a player's upset in a bad setting and something like this, especially like this happens, you never know what you're going to get. The player could be pissed. The player could be like, you just don't know. But more often than not, a player is going to request a trade at some point. So who the heck knows?
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about this whole thing, Matt, and I just wanted to run this little hypothetical of Knicks fans. Obviously they have a chance at number 11. And this is very quick. Like, it's just a quick sidebar I wanted to have. But Knicks fans have been saying, so let's say, hypothetically, we end up with the 11th pick. And on draft night, the Houston Rockets, let's say they just, for hypothetical purposes, they get the 3rd pick. If the Houston Rockets call up the Knicks and say, we will give you the 3rd overall pick for number 11 in Emmanuel Quickley, would you do that?
If I'm who?
If you're the Knicks, would you potentially Scoot or Amen Thompson? Would you pull the trigger on that?
If I'm getting the 3rd pick, it's probably Thompson.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah,
not either Miller or Thompson.
Too, yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tough decision.
Know. I probably not, because I just like Quickley, and like you can get a value. Like this draft, at least just from the initial homework that I've done, is like deep enough to where you can get like value at 11.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't think I would do that. Like just off the top, maybe. I mean, I do really like Thompson, Amen Thompson. I really do like. I don't like Ingram. I don't like Miller as much.
Me too.
If I'm being personally like honest, again, I'd have to look deeper into it. Thompson's athleticism and playmaking and like defensive prowess, even in overtime, is just so like he glides on a basketball court. I was talking to Cervantes when I was able to see him in Sacramento because he told me he hadn't got a great look at the Thompson twins. I was like, dude, these dudes like glide on a basketball court. Like they float. Like their athleticism is so damn nuts. And I mean, they're 20 years old. They're 6'7", 6'8". Like these guys are like freaks of nature. And they have some shooting upside, but like their playmaking is nuts. They're both very, I'd say, good off-ball defenders. Just from what I've initially seen, I haven't watched a lot of them, but just from what I've seen, like these dudes just like it's going to be a joy to watch them on a basketball court. I think we'd probably be hyping them up as either the number 1 or number 2 pick. If Scoot and Wemby didn't exist. But like, so like maybe, I don't know, man.
I mean, it's
I don't
tough.
know.
The way I've been thinking about it as a Knicks fan, I feel like, look, I mean, quickly, I don't know, like Stephen A. Smith, obviously, he's a Knicks fan. Like, there's people who've already said, like, in the media, Emmanuel Quickley has my vote for Sixth Man of the Year over Matt. And I think that means something. But also, when I think about Amin Thompson, I feel like it could literally just become another Benedict Mathurin situation where you just have a rookie, and for the Knicks, he comes off the bench, immediately just starts scoring at the high teens, like efficiency be damned, and just like making highlights. Like I mean, I would love it, but also like Emmanuel Quickley has also like just been such an amazing story this season. I think one of the reasons why the Knicks were able to escape the plane and be able to be the 5 spot in the East.
Right.
So it's tough. It's a very tough decision, no matter how you cut it.
I think if it wasn't as deep of a class that I think it could be, I think that would be a trade you'd be more willing to pull if you're the Knicks. But since it's like I can get like I'm here, let me pull up like
do
you still have it up?
The Tankathon?
Yeah, like I just want to see their big board really quick.
I'm
curious to see where they're at. Just like a base, like going off base here.
Oh, here it is, mock draft. Yeah.
Like I just want to see who they have in that 9, 10.
Oh, 11, they do have Brandon up to 3.
Oh. Yeah, Brandon's been like the 3rd consensus guy, even though I like Amon probably a little bit more. But like you can get Keontae George, Nick Smith, who I liked, even though he was injured a little bit this year for Arkansas. Cason Wallace, who is a hell of a defender. Taylor Hendricks, who, like, even though he was in a mid-major, like, he's going to be a very good 3-and-D. Not even a 3-and-D, but he's just going to be, I think, a good 2-way player. Like, there's definitely talent. Like, scroll up a little bit. Like, if like a Jarris Walker, I don't think he will, but like if a Jarris Walker like falls to 11, like Tibbs would be he would be frothing at the mouth. Like Grady Dick, who I mean, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of Kansas this year, if I'm being completely honest, but every time I did watch him, it felt like Grady Dick scored 20, 25 points, knocked down a few threes. Like Bryce Sensabaugh was phenomenal offensively this year. At least from his scoring production as we see on the screen. So it's like there's definitely talent. And like if you look at the age of all these guys, like I think these are going to be their draft night ages. Like you get 19, 20, like 19, like all of these guys are young too. That's just how the NBA works, at least more so compared to other sports, or at least like the NFL. If I'm directly making a comparison, just because these guys can leave after 1 year, but like these guys are so young with such high potential. Like if Anthony Black somehow fell to 11, like
that would be outrageous.
Even though I don't know how his fit would be with all the guards that the Knicks have, but like I'm just saying in a vacuum, like if some of these guys fell to 11, like you would have to at least consider it.
Yeah, I mean my whole thing is that I think the Knicks could certainly benefit from some more wing depth. I think especially you look at Grimes, you look at RJ, you look at Josh Hart. I mean, you could, certainly throw another guy into that rotation with Tibbs. Obviously, it is getting a little crowded in the front court. If you do look at someone, you were talking about, who was it? Yeah, you were talking about Jarris Walker. Obviously, it would be crowded. Like you have Robinson and Randall and Toppin, but I think.
Yeah, I don't know how well that would play because I mean Walker, from what he's just not a floor spacer, but he is like a defender. Just incredible mobility, very good rebounder. He's like he's from the Calvin Sampson mold of just like grit and grind. Like I think he developed as an offensive player just from what I initially saw towards the later part of the season. But like we know like how Quentin Grimes is kind of molded in this. I mean, it's obviously different players, different skill sets, but like Jarris Walker is going to get in there and defend, and no one loves defenders like Tibbs.
I mean, I think
but you're right. You're right.
Yeah, but I mean, I think to your point, long story short, I think it's kind of a win-win situation. Obviously, this is all come out of thin air from just Knicks Twitter. It's like nothing concrete. I don't think the Knicks have any interest in moving on from quickly right now, and rightfully so. But again, just a fun little hypothetical to throw at you before. Oh, where is it? All right, before the playoffs and playing starts.
Kick me out of the stream, man.
I know I misclicked for a second. I gotta my StreamYard skills are declining.
What do you here before we transition? What do you think about like what are your initial thoughts on? I know we talked about the play-in earlier, but like the 4 series that have been kind of set in stone, like is there any outside of the Knicks? Let's play. Let's have fun.
I mean, the first
outside of the Knicks, what are you looking out for? Or
I personally cannot wait to see the Sixers and the Nets. I think that's going to be a great series. Like obviously, we kind of even saw it back in 2019. Those two teams matched up, but now there's definitely James Harden, jumping ship from Brooklyn to Philly, and then obviously you have Mikal Bridges, a standout at Villanova, gets drafted by the Sixers, who then flip him to the Suns on draft night. And I think, there are just so many storylines in that series. You look at Jock Vaughn, could he get some shouts for Coach of the Year if they obviously I don't know if postseason has anything to do with the rankings, but if they can surprise at the world against Philly and make that a series, because I think everyone, maybe not everyone, but I think a lot of people are pretty much expecting Embiid to run through the Nets and win that series. But I mean, you look at that, you look at out west. I think the Warriors. I think I am incredibly happy for Sacramento Kings fans. A well-deserved season, Pacific Division champs. But I think the Golden State Warriors are the absolute worst matchup they could have had. Absolute worst.
Yeah.
There's only one team in basketball. Look, I get the Kings had the greatest offensive rating in NBA history this season, but you're talking about the Golden State Warriors in playoff basketball. You think, Kings fans think they're ready to shock the world. I don't think they're ready for that Golden State avalanche that usually comes around this time of year.
And they're playing their best basketball this season right now.
I mean, Klay Thompson, arguably coming off that double injury, he's arguably having the best season of his career, leading the league in 3-pointers made.
Yeah,
it's a great series. And obviously, the Suns and the Clippers in the first round. Come on, man! It's not fair. It's not fair.
Yeah, these are some really good series.
I mean, we could be in for an all-time postseason in the NBA.
I mean, the thing that sucks about Clippers Suns, let me be a Debbie Downer for a second. The thing that sucks about Clippers Suns, and I'll even lump your Knicks for the Knicks cast.
Hey, go for it.
How healthy is Julius Randle and Paul George going to be?
They're saying
if they were both healthy, or at least fully healthy, it feels like it's going to be a lot more enjoyable. Not to say it won't be, because I still think both series will be good series, but it would only heighten how good those series could possibly be if both of those guys are healthy. I mean, Paul George, there was a report they had either yesterday or 2 days ago that he's going to miss the beginning of the series. So that stinks. How is Randall playing game 1? I don't know.
I've heard that Randall's targeting game 1 to return.
Okay.
So I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
I love Obi Toppin, but I don't know.
That's the one thing that's, I guess, not holding me back. I still think the Suns would win that series against the Clippers, even though sneakily, is there a world where Kawhi Leonard's the best player in that series? What we've seen from Kawhi in the playoffs
against Kevin Durant, that would be a statement. Yeah. That would be a statement to be bold. Yeah, play Kevin Durant.
We've seen we saw what he did against Dallas a couple of years ago. We've seen obviously what he's done in Toronto. He's averaging 28, 29 a game. since he's really gotten back and fully acclimated to that rotation. And so like he could absolutely be one of the best players, if not the best player in that series. Norman Powell is playing really good basketball. And so that's like cool. He's probably that next X factor behind Kawhi Leonard, at least right now, for until Paul George gets back. And then you have
Westbrook's been playing improved.
Westbrook's been playing, like, he takes a lot of shit, but he's been playing really good. Like you can't fault him.
Efficiency I've been seeing is going up.
Yeah, his efficiency and just his production in general, it just looks like 5 times better than it did when he was in Los Angeles, or not Los Angeles.
The other side of Los Angeles.
Yeah, he was when he was with the Lakers. Like, I mean, yeah, there was a little bit of a spat between Plumlee and Bones the other day. Like, I don't know how much to make of that, but like, I still think like Plumlee hasn't looked terrible. Batum, since he kind of was inserted in that starting lineup, that just the team has played a lot better. Covington coming off the bench, like, this Clippers team is deep.
I mean, that's what
deeper than Phoenix. But of course, Phoenix, when you have Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and then obviously Kevin Durant, you could plug me in, and we'd still be a productive. We'd still be a productive lineup. I remember I talked about this with James on Thursday, but I think heading into that day, I don't know what the numbers are now, but like, I think it was when those 4 were on the floor, plus Josh Okogie, who's been that 5th starter.
Yeah.
Like, they're outscoring teams by like 30. It was like 33 points per 100 possessions. Like, they're just completely
blowing them out of the water.
Yeah, like, it's a small sample, and I know there was teams like they began with Charlotte, and they faced Dallas in there. So it's like, yeah, the competition hasn't been the greatest. Whatever, you play the teams that are on your schedule, but like, Durant's. I said it. I talked about it with James. Like, he's one of the most, if not the most, like, malleable superstar ever. Like, he could play. He could fit practically into any situation and still find a way to play winning basketball. And play at the highest level, to the standards. And so, like, they've only played, I think, 8 games together now, but I'm not completely worried about it. Of course, you would like to see more of it, but that's going to be, I think, a very fun series. I mean, Knicks Cavs, I think, will be a very enjoyable series. I mean, I know they had some battles throughout the season. Of course, Brunson and Mitchell just completely dominated each other.
Nuclear against one another.
Yeah, and so it's like, that's going to be fun. The Nets Sixers is probably my least exciting series, just because, again, I think Embiid is just gonna dominate. Like, I don't know how Brooklyn is gonna defend Embiid.
I know Claxton's had a great season, but he's not gonna really shut down Embiid.
He's not. At least I don't think he is. I mean, you're gonna have to double, triple team Embiid, but like, even then, like, they were one of the league's most efficient 3-point shooting teams this year, if not the most efficient.
Maxey, you have Tobias Harris, Jake Milton, like Harden, like,
they have the best player in that series in PJ Tucker. Like,
they're a deep team too, like the Clippers. They are guys who can come off the bench and really burn you. Yeah,
like, jokes aside, like, I just think, like, Brooklyn has been, like, since they traded Durant, like, they shot like 42-43% from deep. Like, there's definitely been games where they just won't stop making threes. And so, like, that's the one way, if you're not going to beat them inside the arc or at the free throw line, because there's going to be foul trouble galore, at least at certain points of this series with Brooklyn. If you can't beat Philly in that aspect, at least the free throw line or like near the rim, it's going to have to come from beyond the arc. It's going to have to be Cameron Johnson. It's going to have to be Mikal Bridges. It's going to have to be whoever. It's going to have to be whomever. Like, that's the one chance that I believe Brooklyn has. And I still think the Sixers are going to win in 5 or 6 games, if I'm being completely honest. Like, that series just doesn't, I think, match up well for a team like Brooklyn. Maybe I'm completely wrong. We all thought Brooklyn was going to fall out of the playoff race.
That's true. I thought Miami was going to jump into that 6, but
so did I. But
yeah, I know. I digress.
But like, just in general, like, again, this is another team that's kind of scrapped and clawed their way. I mean, they're very switch heavy. They're going to flatten you out. Like, I wonder how they're going to counter each other schematically. And then what was the other series that I'm missing? Warriors Kings. Yeah, dude.
Warriors Kings.
The Battle of the Bays, man. It's
North California battle, nothing like it.
Northern California battle.
They've ever met in the playoffs?
Huh?
Maybe they met back in the 90s in the playoffs. And have they ever played each other?
I am not sure.
I'll have to do some research on that.
Maybe, I don't know. But like, it's not the best matchup for Sacramento, but I also think Sacramento, like the way they carried themselves this year, like Mike Brown, De'Aaron, like, I don't think they think they'll. I genuinely think that they believe that they're the best team in that series.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
I have no
I
doubt.
really do believe that they're incredibly overconfident, and rightfully so. They should be overconfident the way they play.
The best team they've had in decades.
Right. So it's like, I think they genuinely believe they'll win that series. And when you like, I think Draymond said it on his like podcast, like, we're gonna try to like bury him and try to make them like, I'm paraphrasing when I say that, but we're gonna try to like take them out of their game. Like I know Demonis hasn't had the best playoff track record, at least when he was in Indiana, and then like this is like De'Aaron's first taste of the playoffs. So it's like, it's a lot of these guys. It's kind of their first taste. I mean, Mike Brown, of course, knows. He was on the Warriors staff, and so he kind of knows that team, knows that system, at least how to prepare a little bit. But
maybe
I think that could be a 6 or 7 game series, man.
I mean,
like of course the Warriors are playing their best basketball this season. The Kings have been tremendous this entire year. You're right on the money when you say that it's it's not the best matchup for Sacramento, because it's not.
I was gonna say, but as if they didn't need it already. But Draymond cannot be giving those Sacramento Kings fans bulletin board material.
That very fair, very, very fair. But like, dude, like, we have some fun series ahead, and we don't even know, like, I don't want to speak it into existence, but like Miami, Boston could be, I don't want to say fun series, but there's certainly storylines to it.
Look, those two teams, they're not radically different from the two teams that met in the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
I mean, if Miami could like make a shot.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna go too far, but I'm just saying, you just based purely on rosters alone, those two teams are pretty similar to the ones that duked it out for 7 games last year.
Right.
Even though
I don't think Miami would win that series, just based on what I've seen this season. 82 games from this team, it's probably a 5 or 6 game series. But it's certainly not like the worst series in the world.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
And then like in the West, like the Lakers, Grizzlies, again, I kind of already went over that. Not saying I think the Lakers will win that series, but like, again, they backed into a Memphis. Like, if they win tonight, they're going to play a Memphis team who's depleted in the front court. Like, I don't.
And Ja's still, kind of catching up to speed after his whole incident.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's like that they've just been. What's the word I'm looking for? The Grizzlies have felt like so combustible over these last several months.
Again, Jackson Law, we apologize. This is nothing personal. This is just I
mean, I'd be rooting for the Grizzlies, but
I'm always, especially how it ended for them last year. I would not be at all opposed to see a Memphis Grizzlies deep run in the playoffs this year.
Right. And then I want to see again, just going back to our Thunder love, I just want to see the Thunder in the playoffs.
I want to see Shea in the playoffs.
Even if it's against Denver, Denver is a beatable team.
I was going to say, if the Lakers lose tonight, which is entirely possible, Anthony Edwards could have a great game.
The Lakers lose tonight. This company
Trey's desired Nuggets versus Lakers first round matchup will become more and more likely.
Oh man, how funny that would be! Just for the company parody.
Yep.
yeah, I think we definitely have some good series ahead. All right, that's enough.
Totally. Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna shut
can
up.
jump into where do you want NFL? Obviously, we've got some NFL news to break down. MLB, we're
Let's quickly hit on NFL.
got to.
What do you think about? I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say, but what do you think about the? Were you surprised at all by OBJ one signing with the Ravens and two the contract that he got or the money that he
You
got per
said
se?
it. The second point is I was not expecting 15 million guaranteed. I mean, I know. Look, I'm a Giants fan. I can tell you Odell Beckham at his best. There was a time I didn't think a single wide receiver was better than him in football. It's just that simple. But that's like 6, 7 years ago. Obviously,
Right.
the last time we did see him play, he was he's he was almost the best wide receiver in a Super Bowl that featured Jamar Chase and Cooper Cup. But obviously,
Right.
he was
Right.
ACL in that game, and he's been out ever since. But again, look, I love Odell Beckham. I'll never, even as a Giants fan, I'll never say a bad word about him. People will point to the diva, whatever, but I thought the guy was just a showstopper. And as a Giants fan, I can tell you we still have not found a replacement for him since at number one receiver. But again, I'm surprised the Ravens would kind of take all the money they may have had set aside for Lamar and kind of sprinkled some of it to Odell. But again, the Ravens have needed help for pass catching for who knows how long. I read some or watched something. They said that the Baltimore Ravens in their history has never had a Pro Bowl receiver. They've had a kick returner go into the Pro Bowl as a wide receiver go in as a kick returner, but they have never had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. And look, I know Trey is not the biggest fan of Lamar Jackson. He has his tastes or whatever.
What do you mean? He loves Lamar Jackson. Just kidding.
But Trey is not whatever you want to say about it, but I think Lamar can throw the ball pretty well, and especially, Mark Andrews has had some all-pro seasons with Lamar as his quarterback, and Odell, I think he would have a good season. I think it's a win-win. I think, now look, I could be going a little too far into this, but I think bringing Odell in would make Lamar more open to playing on the tag in Baltimore this season. I think
Perhaps.
it would be more possible. Obviously, I think all sides would want Lamar to just sign a new long-term deal, get that out of the way before the season starts. But I think regardless, I think bringing in Odell Beckham is good news for the Lamar Jackson front.
I mean, yeah, that's why they gave him 18 million or at least 15 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's hashtag desperate. How desperate are you willing to get Lamar? I mean, yeah, he requested a trade, but how willing are you to get Lamar Jackson back? I mean, not that. I mean, the Ravens have had success without Lamar. Some success, not a lot of success, but like Lamar's also won like
A lot
I don't
of
even
games.
remember what number, like 75% of his games.
Very
like,
good winning percentage.
Yeah, like but yeah, it felt hashtag desperate. Like
I agree with you
it
there.
really did. It really did. Like just looking at the surface, like when I saw like 18 million for like Odell didn't even play a game last year. And he's getting 18 million, 15 guaranteed. I mean, yeah, the receiver market's becoming more nuts and nuts as we talk about this, but it just felt like I was like when I expect, I mean, I don't think Odell was going to sign for much less, if I'm being completely honest. Like he's been pretty open about like wanting a lot of money, or at least it's felt like he is, maybe not. But like when I saw he signed, I was expecting like a 1 year, and just in my brain, I was expecting like a 1 year,
Yeah, I mean,
$12 million deal with like 10 guaranteed or something. Like I didn't expect 18, nearly double that
yeah.
with 15 guaranteed. I mean, again, he's 30. Before he tore, like he's coming off an ACL injury. That's always tricky for someone who's entering his 30s, especially when you're a receiver and you're cutting all the time.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what to really think about that. But in terms of like getting Lamar a number one target, at least at the receiver position,
It accomplishes that.
of importance for the last several years, like Duvernay or Rashad Bateman
Yeah.
on a rookie
Hollywood
deal.
Brown back in the day.
Hollywood, like that's not they could be supplementary receivers, but like you need a number one guy, at least in this stage in the NFL. You need to be able to pass the ball. And maybe this was like a byproduct of them getting rid of who's that offensive coordinator again?
Oh yeah, Greg Roman.
Greg Roman, yeah. Like maybe this is like a byproduct of all of that, because maybe they're flipping the scheme a different way. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, they're not going to be super run heavy, I don't believe, but like maybe they're trying to spread it out a little bit more to give. And as a result of that, you sign a number one guy to kind of be the primary like beneficiary of that. But it just felt desperate. It just felt desperate.
Oh, I totally agree.
And I don't know. You might be onto something when it comes to like whether that might change Lamar's mind or not. I don't know. But who knows? Like it might. It might be worth. It might be. He might not sign long term. He might just play on the tag. I have no idea. I mean, it's still everything's unsigned right now. He can still sign with other teams. I don't know how many other teams want to sign him. We know there's been plenty of teams who don't want to sign him.
Yeah,
that's a whole case in and of itself. But like at least in Lamar's instance, like maybe he's willing to come back. I don't know. But maybe there's something there that like maybe he was campaigning to sign Odell.
On social media, it looks that way.
Like there's could be I'm not really sure, because I mean Lamar Jackson is very open about like his contract situation, like what he thinks about things, especially like on Twitter and everything. But like I haven't seen anything of him saying that like, oh, let's go. Maybe not. I don't know, but maybe there is something to all that. I'm just thinking out loud here, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that went into it, I'm sure. I mean, I don't think that Odell Beckham just woke up like yesterday or over the weekend and just said, oh, I'm going to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. But again, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out this season. But I'm trying to think. I mean, the NFL still pretty slow moving. I mean, the draft is coming around, but we could switch gears to the MLB. Obviously, the season is now in full swing.
Yes, sir. 10 games in.
Yankees unfortunately dropped one against the yesterday, but
we already talked about that.
Yeah, we don't. There's a Vendetta fantasy baseball league. There's some great stories. Obviously, the Tampa Bay Rays just cannot be stopped right now.
Yeah, we have to begin there. They're kicking the living you-know-what out of every single team in existence, other than maybe Boston last night, who they still beat 1-0. I saw a stat. I'm gonna double-check this. But the Rays have more home runs than they have earned runs.
Wow. That is
like, dude, they are just, and I mean, of course, like, who was their first series against? I can't remember who. I know they played the Athletics over the weekend.
Oh,
like they faced
Toronto, wasn't?
No. Toronto played. Here, I'm looking.
No, Toronto played St. Louis. I'm trying to think of who the Rays started against. Oh, like, it was Detroit. I think it was the Tigers.
Yeah, they played Detroit, Washington, and then they had a 3-game set against Oakland.
And then the Red Sox most recently, I guess.
Like, I have seen the point made elsewhere about like, oh, it's the schedule. Like, just wait. And it's just like, baseball is such a stupid, weird sport to where even bad teams on any given day can beat you 10-7, or like they could beat you 6-2 in a game. Like, that's just how baseball works. The Rays, 9 straight games of winning by multiple runs.
Wow. Holy mackerel.
They've won games by, in order, they've won games by 10, 4, 4, 4, 5, 4, 11, and 11.
They're not just beating teams.
They are
crushing teams
out of teams, dude. Like, they are crushing just everyone ahead of them. Or not ahead of them, but like everyone in front of them. It's just nuts, dude. Like, even like, yeah, it's a 9-game sample, but like even doing that over like 4 games, is just crazy. The fact that they're doing that over 9 to begin the season.
It's not a hot streak. It's just it's a power surge. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, I'm verifying this. I want to see it. I mean, because I know Brandon Lau hit that home run yesterday in the bottom of the 8th. Yeah. They have 25 home runs, which is 4 more than every other team. And the team that has that 4 more is the Dodgers with 21. And they went on a little bit of a home run spree last night. I mean, I know Max hit 2 of them.
Yep.
Including a grand slam against the Giants. Hold on. I'm working with an iPad here, so it's a little bit.
No worries, man. No worries.
So yeah, they have 4 more than every other team, 7 more than the third place team, which is the Giants, and then 9 more than 4th and 5th, who are tied for 4th with 16, and that's the Yankees and Angels. The Yankees and Angels both have 16 home runs. That's 9 more than every other team, or not every other team, 9 more than the 4th and 5th place team. So it's like they're completely mashing. And it's not just not just from one person. Like Wander Franco's gotten off to a tremendous start. Randy Arozarena, like Jose Siri's been hitting the ball well. There's someone else. Like
I'm trying to think of who.
There's a couple names that I'm blanking on.
Let me see if I can. Because obviously they just.
Of course, Brandon Lau, like last night, like
they are a model of efficiency.
Yeah, and they're pitching the hell out of the ball. Like Drew Rasmussen and Jeffrey Springs have pitched like 26 combined innings, haven't allowed a run yet. They haven't allowed a run yet. They've only allowed like 7 hits, 6 hits, something like that. Just stupid numbers, dude. Completely stupid numbers. Like that's like the biggest storyline from this season. Yeah. 25 home runs, as I mentioned earlier, 17 earned runs. As an entire staff this season. Which is by far the fewest in baseball. Like this team is, again, just whether it's, even though it's the Tigers, even though it's the Nats, even though it's the A's, like they're eviscerating these teams, dude. They're completely bludgeoning these teams. They're not just beating them. They're kicking the crap out of them.
Is not pretty. And Yandy Diaz, like, you can just
Yandy, yeah. Like, I know there were names that were escaping me, but like
Francisco Mejia, like, everywhere you look, it's just,
Luke Raley.
Yeah. They just got guys up and down that team. Obviously, they got guys who can shove. They got guys who can hit. Obviously,
Glasnow's hurt, dude. He's not even healthy. I think he was throwing over the weekend, but like he's not even healthy yet. Like just imagine that rotation when he comes back. How much more dangerous that'll be.
It is outrageous. Like,
yeah.
Obviously you want to keep hot streaks not quite at the very beginning of the season, but also, it's on a 162 game season. Every game counts. And, I'm sure the Rays will be thanking themselves in July, August, September when they're like, oh, imagine we only went like 7-3 in our first 10 or whatever, however long.
Right. Right. Like people say games don't matter in April, or they're like, oh, it's just April. Yeah, like, of course, you want to get all the bad juju out in the beginning of the season, preferably. But like sometimes a game is a difference between a wild card spot and winning the division.
Look, we saw we're Yankees fans, man. We saw how hot the Yankees started last year, and then things just the train went off the tracks after the All-Star.
On the division though, so that's like
that's true. That's true.
Looking at it right now, the Rays have a run differential of plus 58. You want to know what the next highest is?
What is it?
The Dodgers with 24.
I guess baseballs are looking like beach balls down in Tampa Bay. They're just hitting everything right now.
Like, dude, I don't get it. Like, how do the Rays? Why do they keep getting away with this? I don't get it.
They just I don't know. Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I hate being in their division sometimes.
Yep.
It's annoying. They're like that pesky little rat that just
they're a thorn in your side and you just can't pull it out. This is outrageous.
What other surprises that you have from the season before I go off on one team?
For me, I'm happy to see that the Chicago Cubs are actually have some signs of life this year. I think I saw Cody Bellinger's starting to get off the mark as a Cub. Dansby Swanson's looking pretty good. Eric Hosmer. At least they're not something that the fans at Wrigley Field can watch. But please go on with your who do you have in mind?
This is going back to my futures betting. I talked about this a little bit in our baseball chat on Slack, but this is going back to my future bets. Cardinals, what the hell are we doing? What the hell are we doing, Cardinals? I mean, what is pitching hasn't at least? I mean, I know Gumby threw a shutout. I think either it was like Sunday or something, like Saturday. It's either Saturday or Sunday, but like in general, it doesn't look like they've been pitching well. It hasn't felt like they've been hitting particularly well either lately. I'd have to pull up the numbers just to get like a better perspective. We have Olivier Marmol calling out Tyler O'Neill like 5 games into the season about rounding third in a game that they're down 3 or something like that. Like what's going on, dude? What's going on? And these GD Brewers are pissing me off because I have them not making the playoffs. And like, where the hell did Bryce Terang and Joey Weimer and Garrett Mitchell just come from? Like, every time I tune into Milwaukee, like the first time not the first time. It was one of the first times I've watched Milwaukee this season. I just saw the first play I saw was just Weimer just gunning dudes at second. I was just like, all right, never even heard of this guy. Maybe that's just my own naive being negligent and dumb or whatever. But like these guys are just coming up, and they've been awesome. I don't know if you can pull up their reference pages right now.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I was looking.
I know that they lost last night, but like they're 7-3. The Cardinals are 3-7. I need that to be opposite. And I don't have anything against either team in general, but it's just like again, it's the Vendetta's worst, better magic lending itself and coming into fruition. But like what the hell are we doing, Cardinals?
I mean, the Brewers,
10 games into the season, no reason to flip out yet, but like, come on. Let's get back on track.
The Brewers put up 20, what was it? They put up 25 runs or 26 runs in 3 games against the Mets. Like, they just absolutely, here we go. Here, let me
Garrett Mitchell didn't have the greatest track record for power in the minors, but he's hitting bombs, dude. Like, Weimer's throwing out dudes at second. Bryce Terang just won't stop walking, getting on base, and it's like, dude, this Brewer. I mean, it's fun as hell to watch too. Like, I enjoy watching this team. I'm not hate watching this team, but at the same time, it's like they just dominated the Cardinals over the weekend. I mean, I know that 6-0 loss, but like, again, what are we doing, St. Louis? What are we doing? Come on, let's reel it in. Let's get it together. We don't need managers calling out players a handful of games into a 162-game season. Like,
not according to plan, to put it lightly. But yeah, I mean, I really thought the Cardinals. I thought they're, like you said in your futures bet. I was
there should be like, come on.
Like, I mean, it really, like, especially after they pick up Contreras. Like, I was like, come on, like, is this really a discussion? Like, but now, like,
putrid offensive numbers just from looking at the run total over the last several games.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Can you pull up their stats really quick? I just want to scroll and see. I'm curious because I'm not well versed. Goldschmidt's hitting the hell out of the ball, so that's cool.
Arenado's not doing too bad.
Brendan Donovan, have him in fantasy. He's dropped off since the start.
Looks like Jordan Walker's having a good start to life in the
Jordan Walker. I have to admit he has been good too. But like Tyler O'Neill, Arenado hasn't fully gotten going yet. Tommy Edman hasn't been good offensively. Donovan's been mediocre. Contreras has gotten off to a slow start. Can you scroll down, please?
Yeah.
Pitching.
Montgomery's their number one, pretty much.
Yeah, I know he got roughed up a bit in his first start, I think. But he, again, had that shutout again over the weekend against Milwaukee. Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz. What are we doing?
Cardinals, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Come on, Cardinals. My wallet's relying on you.
I know. There's, you talk about putting money where your mouth is.
Yeah. This is the first year I've really done like Major League Baseball future bets, and I've seen things so far. Probably, I haven't looked at them all lately, but so far, probably all of them have been just down the drain. I mean, I know I had the Jays to win the AL East. Sorry, Yankees. Sorry, Rays. Probably the Rays took that personally. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, they probably they probably read your post and they were like, all right, we need to go and destroy the league now.
I mean, other teams that have been like fun to watch, like the Diamondbacks.
Corbin Carroll,
Yeah,
those guys over there,
Alec Thomas. I mean, the Guardians have been doing Guardians things. Last night wasn't particularly the most fun game ever.
Same thing with the Giants. Last night was not fun, but it's been a good start to life for the Carlos Rodon-less Giants.
At least a better start. They're 4-6 right now. Last night wasn't good.
Last night was not pretty. I watched some of that game and it was not pretty. It just felt like, I mean, it looked like Father Time just turned the hands of time back on Jason Hayward. He was looking like his 2015 self, like just doing everything out there.
The Angels have been fun so far. Hunter Renfro's homered
Hunter Renfro
days, so that's cool.
Your
bomb. Guy Andrew Heaney just struck out everyone in human existence.
I watched some of that Texas Rangers game also. It was a good time.
What other teams like just pop out that I'm missing? I mean, it sucks the O'Neal Cruz injury.
I know.
Pirates are 6-4. Although like he probably should have slid earlier. Like that's one of those weird situations where like I don't think I've ever seen a guy slide to home plate as late as he did.
I know.
I don't know if that was the reason for his injury, but like that's kind of why. I think it was. I can't remember who was behind the plate. That's why the dude got pissed off and he was just like, "Dude, why the fuck are you like waiting so late to slide, bro?" And that reaction did not bode well for Pirates players. They kind of took that.
They took that personally.
Which again, if you're defending your teammate, rightfully so. I mean,
yeah. I can see that side of it, and obviously, I think the Padres really put the smackdown on the Braves not too long ago.
Yeah, 3 out of 4, dude. 3 out of 4, including Sunday night.
If Tatis can, stay out of trouble and get back this season, they could be an absolute unit. That could be a scary team.
Yeah, I was watching. Of course, I was with family for Easter, but like I had the Padres Braves Sunday night game on in like the background, and like every time I would turn to it, the lead just kept growing. I'm just like, oh my god, like Nelson Cruz hit that home run. I feel like I tweeted this that night, but Nelson Cruz could be like 70 years old and still be hitting 400-foot dingers, dude. Like it feels like he's just ageless. Like he just doesn't stop.
He is the ageless wonder, yeah.
What else just like comes to mind? I mean, the Adam Duvall injury sucks.
Yes.
Boston was like, they've been on a tear just offensively speaking. They got shut out last night and they've still scored 59 runs already. Like,
look, I gotta give Trey credit. I'm holding my hand up. The Tristan Casas breakout season might be upon us.
I mean, we had a little bit of a discussion in the Slack chat over the weekend about Devers.
Oh yeah, is he the best third baseman in baseball?
What's your take on that?
I mean, look, I can obviously reason with Trey. He's supporting his guy, and I can't fault the guy for defending his pick. I mean, Devers is one heck of a player. You can't deny that, but I just think the third base position these days is just so loaded with talent. I mean, you look at Manny Machado, you look at over in Cleveland. I mean, you look at Jose Ramirez. I mean, you can just, anywhere you look, it's just there's going to be guys who just, they call it the hot corner for a reason. But, I mean, he's certainly climbing up the rankings, I would say. Devers, I mean, Obviously, I think Trey kind of pointed it out in his post a couple months ago when he signed his extension with the Red Sox. I think he's a guy who's going to age very well at Fenway, and especially, he'll become their DH one day. But now he's still doing great things for them. And if they do want chances at the playoffs, at the wild card this year, it is going to be because of Devers.
Yeah.
But I don't quite have him as my number one.
See, I kind of made this point in the chat. I don't think there's a definitive number one. Like, it just in my head.
Like 1A, 1B, 1C. Like, you just
yeah. Like, if you look at the numbers just from like Jose Ramirez, like he's been one of the most productive, not just third baseman in baseball, but like hitters in baseball over the last several seasons. But like, for as much crap that Devers takes defensively, like he was like third or fourth in F4, like since he's been incredibly productive, at least offensively. He hits baseballs that I genuinely don't know how he hits.
They really have no business being.
You could throw like 95 at his face and he'll still wrap a double. Like he'll find a way to wrap it around Pesky's pole just
and you could throw him jump to the outside and he'll
like you could throw a changeup at like pretty much hitting the plate or like in the other batter's box, and he'd still find a poke away and hit it off the monster for a double. Like the dude has ridiculous amount of power. I don't know how you pitched him. I know a couple years ago the scouting report on him was just high fastballs, especially like high velocity fastballs. And he's found a way to adjust and catch up to that. And of course, you and I have seen the brunt of it at times when it's come to Devers. But like just in general, he's just an incredibly special hitter. But so is Arenado, and so is Jose Ramirez, and so is Machado. Austin Riley is slowly but surely climbing up into that.
He's climbing up that ladder
tier of very productive hitting third baseman. Like third baseman's a position that isn't taxing on your body to where like you'll be productive as like a hitter. And there's plenty of productive hitters that are third baseman as we're talking about here. But like Devers is certainly in the conversation. Oh, I don't think there's a definitive like one. I mean, you can make the argument for multiple guys, though. You can make the argument for Devers.
And the saddest thing, Matt, is we're Yankees fans. We can't have nice things. We have Josh Donaldson. I mean, look, I love DJ.
Well, we have Judge, man. Come on. He's not a third baseman, but
I know. We are pretty. We should. I am thankful for Judge because without him, I don't even want to know what the New York Yankees would look like these days.
Oh, dude. Again, I still can't stop thinking about like, what if he was a Giant on opening day in Yankee Stadium? Like, oh, dude, I might have just had
my
to
brain
sell
would
my
just
MLB
explode.
TV
I think
subscription.
it really would just explode.
I would have just given it away. I mean, I say that jokingly. I wouldn't have, but like, I'd still watch the games. But oh my goodness, that'd be terrible, man. Terrible. I don't even want to think, especially since I know. Again, I've said it before. I have Giants fans friends. That would suck. Having them rub that in my face the entire year. Oh, I don't even want to think. Stop thinking about it. It's not real. It's not happening.
We'll stop it there. But
it's a bad nightmare.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think about
it. It would be no good. But is there anything else on your mind, Matt? I mean, I feel like it's been a very good episode. A lot of good stuff going on these days. A lot of good stuff going on tonight. Remember that, people.
Yeah, just give me to tonight, dude. I hate this stupid, dumb, nervous energy. Just give me to tonight. Let me have 17 breakdowns in a span of a quarter. Like just like let me just get it
out of the way. Just get it.
Yeah, like the postseason basketball or just postseason with any of my teams, especially Miami, is the most nerve-wracking time of year for me. I'm always on edge. Like I don't think I outwardly talked to anyone for at least 24 hours after Jimmy missed that Game 7 shot. I sat in my room, just contemplated just everything.
Everything.
I was like, this sucks. Like the Bucks series 2 years ago was like terrible. I don't even want to think about it. It was one of the worst, probably the worst series in franchise history. Don't even want to think about it. Hope that never, ever, ever comes close to happening again. That was terrible. on all fronts. When the crowd is chanting MVP chants and Nemanja Bjelica, that's when you know the season's just gone awry. It's just gone awry. So I don't want to have that ever happen again. The finals run was fun, but
yeah,
my best friend who I was living with at the time is a Lakers fan, so that was cool.
That must.
So yeah, I'm prepared to get. It's like the Michael Scott meme. I'm prepared to get hurt again. At some point, whether it's tonight, whether it's against Boston, whatever. But just get me to tonight, dude. It's 12:30 Eastern right now, 9:30 where I'm at. There's however many hours left.
It's 7 hours until tip off.
7 hours, just dude. It's the longest 7 effing hours of my life. Just get me to it. I don't even want to think about it. Just get me to it. All right. I don't even want to. Again, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to do anything the rest of the day. Just get me to 4:30 my time, 7:30 Eastern. Just let me experience what I'm going to experience.
And
that's that. Whether it pisses me off, which it probably will. There's a greater than 75% chance likelihood it's going to piss me off. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe the Heat blow them out. Maybe the Heat or maybe to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Just let me experience this one game stupid plan that my team has to go through because the season stinks.
But
I'm ready because we have Jimmy Butler and hopefully
you got Jimmy buckets, you got Bam, you got Tyler, you got them. You know, they're ready for war. They're ready for war.
Get me like 50, Jimmy. Just go for 50.
Just
go.
Let them know. But again,
that's all I got.
Me too, man. Obviously, I'll be rooting for the Lakers tonight against Minnesota. But again, I will be in your corner. I will be in the Heat corner. I'm obviously as a Knicks fan, I am Trae Young's biggest hater, but still, that is not here or there. Let's go Heat. Let's go Lakers.
The fact that both of us will be rooting for Miami and the fact that both of us will not like Trae Young, at least for tonight, means Trae Young will probably go off for 44. He'll go off for 44 points, hit 9 threes or something.
13 assists.
Something dumb.
Something silly.
Yeah, something stupid that he's just gonna completely just be like, it's like F you guys, 2 middle fingers.
I've heard enough. Yeah, just our luck.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm riding high on I'm riding high because it's postseason basketball, but I'm not like overly confident.
I know.
At my expectations, again, just from what I've seen from this stupid Heat team this season, my expectations have been tempered. But the Hawks have also been a perpetually mediocre team this year, so let's see what happens.
Yep. I don't think the Quinn Snyder bounce is enough for them tonight. But again, everyone who's watched, thank you for tuning in. Let's go Heat. Let's go Lakers. Also, I'm a Knicks fan, but I like Austin Reeves, so I'll root for the Lakers.
Let's go Heat. Clip that.
Yep.
Someone clip that.
Someone throw that on
reference.
But again, everyone, obviously, we will be back here next Tuesday, which means we will be back here when the NBA playoffs are officially in full swing. Everyone have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next flip.